Anyone thinks Sutton won't be back to 100% this year? Just showing some love. Priest and the Beast. It's kind of interesting, Zach. Start giving her your take on this, and then I want to pull up something that was written earlier. I think it was actually last weekend.
Well, I hope Michaela's biting her tongue underneath her mask in that picture, Chad, because I really hope he's going to be 100%. I hope there's no setbacks. And to this point, I haven't seen anything that's going to give me pause or give me concern. I realize he's still on the practice field with that big knee brace, and I know that's precautionary. I know it's going to be a process, but I think he's coming back 100%. His injury, 10, 15 years ago, it would have been a year plus. You would have had concerns. But nowadays, it's wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, 8 months, 10 months, and you're good to go again. So I think Courtland is not only going to come back 100%, but come back 100% in terms of being a top 10 receiver in the NFL. And I think that's what his ceiling is. I think that's what he is. So I have my fingers crossed.
Michaela, love you. I'm taking your super off screen for a sec so I can show you guys some data. Last weekend, or the end of last week, not just, I think it was Friday, I had a fellow reach out to me that wanted me to get my eyes on some data that a study that had been done about NFL wide receivers that had suffered a torn ACL from 2013 to 2016, 20 different NFL. Let me just read this to you real quick. I don't even know how you pronounce it. Podiatric physician and surgeon named Dr. Daniel Khalil provided some interesting data relative to the issue. According to Dr. Khalil, from 13 to 16, 20 different NFL wide receivers suffered a torn ACL. Of those 20 receivers, 6 never returned to form. The average age of those who didn't, 27.2 years old. 7 of those 20 receivers saw their production decline after returning from the ACL. Their average age, 28.4. The good news, 7 wideouts saw their production improve following their rehab and recovery from an ACL. Average age of that group, 25.2. All right, here's the tweet from Dr. Khalil. All right, how old is Sutton? 25. So that means that the odds are in his favor that he's going to be one of those wide receivers that not only comes back to form, but actually ends up being a bigger beast, Zach, after the injury.
Yeah, and what's also helpful is he doesn't have to assume all of the burden on the Broncos offense. Let's say someone like Calvin Johnson in his prime was coming back from an ACL tear. He was the number one guy. He was getting constant attention, double teams, triple teams. A majority of the passing reps were going to him. Sutton doesn't have that problem. Fortunately and unfortunately, there's KJ Hamler, Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant, and the rest. So even if he's slow in week 1, slow in week 2, like Bradley Chubb last year before he got his bearings under him, there's still talent around him where he doesn't feel that mental pressure to come back, because these injuries, it's not just physical, psychological, mental plays a part in it as well, and I think that's going to help in his process.
He pointed out that the Orthopedic Journal of Sports Medicine, Dr. Khalil is constantly providing statistical analyses like this, including the one from 2016. This study dated back to 2013 and accounted for 20 wideouts. So the odds point to, now is that guaranteed that Sutton's going to return to not only being a Pro Bowler, but continue his trajectory and grow and outdo what he's done? That's no guarantee, but I'm inclined, Zach, to agree with you and the data that